No, I started off from humble beginnings. I was born in the inner city. We come from East Oakland, California, and single mom with 7 kids. She was amazing. Mom moved us to Seattle, Washington, where I was raised when I was 6 years old. So I've been a Washington citizen since I was a little boy, raised in Seattle. Mom raised me on values and faith and understanding that self-worth and understanding self-respect and self-esteem and never giving up, always moving forward, understanding right from wrong, and always trying to do your best. That's how she raised me. And she was such a loving, caring, and forgiving woman that she made it easy. And I did. I always tried. And that's part of who I am as a man. Never give up, never give in, and always try to do the best I can and do best for others as well. My mother was just a loving person, and I think I get a lot of that from her. Um, Growing up in Seattle, in school, K through 11, I struggled, terrible grades. I dropped out of high school, joined the Marine Corps, served 2 enlistments, got my honorable discharge, but I also got my high school diploma, and later went and got my bachelor's degree in business administration, 4.0 summa cum laude in business administration, and so did well. I got my graduate degree from Villanova University, Master of Science degree in Human Resource Development, follow on an advanced certification in human resources as a professional in human resources, finishing up my PhD in organizational psychology. I have a certificate from UCLA in entrepreneurship, some other certificates in behavioral science and psychometric assessment, leadership, decision making, etc. I love knowledge. I love learning. I love growing. I listen and I learn from other people as well. And it's part of my nature. And I've been that way my entire life. I later, after 9/11, found myself volunteering to join the Special Forces Regiment and became a Green Beret at the young age of 43 years of age. And I was one of the oldest in history of Army Special Forces. I was a Special Forces engineer, which Special Forces in demolitions, but also civil engineering and construction. Were trained in vulnerability assessment and analysis, understanding infrastructure such as port security, nuclear facilities, dams, power infrastructure, substations, power transmission, things of that nature. Acquisitions, contract procurement, because we're responsible for building and development in foreign soils, bridging, a lot of things that, well, the government does, contracts, et cetera, on bridges, roads, horizontal and construction on capital projects. I later went into Special Forces Intelligence. I worked my way up from a Special Forces A team on doing intelligence to operational intelligence to working out of embassies with multiple embassy agencies, many of them, all of them. I found myself doing counter human trafficking, counter narco terrorism, counter nuclear proliferation, tracking drug dealers and crime syndicates all over the world. I was proficient in 3 languages. I'm going to put English as one of them, and Spanish and Mandarin Chinese. China is a country of study, and obviously the cartels were as well. South Central America. Gosh, what else? Left military, went from active to National Guard, took a job with the U.S. Department of Energy, and I worked my way up there as well to a GS 14 out of 15 federal director. I was the federal director of organizational development, specializing in performance improvement. And then I retired as the director of training and leadership development for the Department of Energy here at the Hanford site. I taught at WSU. I was the associate director of professional development and community education, teaching the leadership curriculum that I wrote for WSU. I left WSU and became a consultant. So doing much of what I did for other agencies and universities, I taught leaders how to be better leaders. I consulted for corporations how to become better performing, more fiscally responsible corporations. I helped them to develop strategy to take steps towards excellence. I know ledgering, budgeting, doing assessments. I write assessments. I write surveys. And so just all facets of business and business operations, Lean Six Sigma methodology, human performance improvement. I know I can get geek on that, but it's my love, it's my passion. And, I retired for this endeavor to run for governor, but there were some things that led up to this. I was never going to get into politics. My wife and I have done everything together. We plan everything together, and politics was not it. But when they shut down our state and they shut down our schools, our places of worship, our businesses, and I had a construction company that I ran, and I was affected by labor and industries and the shutdown right in the middle of some of my projects. I had another company, my consulting company, and I have a real estate investment firm. And every single one of my companies was affected. I had employees that I had to make payroll for, and that PPP didn't help me at all. And it was difficult. I was paying for a very nice office building and equipment, and it was not enough to sustain. But I kept going and moving forward like many other businesses. And so I understand the strains and the rigorous test and obligations that small business owners go through, because I did it. And so between that and then shutting down schools and my daughter coming home with a laptop. And so I said, well, no, this is not right. And masking our children without giving parents a choice. I said, well, I need to run for school board director. And I won that race. I became a school board director, and I kind of rocked the boat because, as I said, a mandate is not a law, and our constitutional rights must matter. And so I took a motion, made the motion, led the motion to bring choice so that parents can make a decision on what is best for their children, as it should be. And we did other things. We passed a policy in our school district that said we will teach civics, not critical race theory. We passed a policy that said we will form a parent advisory committee so that parents had a voice and choice in their children's education. We created a strategic plan and so much more, MJ. And I don't want to keep talking your ear off, but that's how I got into now running for governor. We continue to put these career politicians up to run in positions, should be positions of service to we the people. But they're not coming from the community. They're not coming from we the people. And they're being brought forward by the wealthy elite, the establishment. And that is not what a constitutional republic calls for. It calls for those of us of the people, by the people, and when elected, in service to the people. And that is something that I feel strongly about. And that I said to myself and my wife, who's my first endorsement, that this is something that we would do. We would be here to provide servant leadership, acknowledging our constitutional rights, our American values, and bringing those protections for the people.